welcome back to the channel. Mrs. Homesteader and I have been out in the snowmobile trails quite a bit lately. When it snows, you got to get out there and use your snowmobile, especially in this part of the country. We had about a week and a half of good, decent weather, and it started raining last night, and it was raining this morning. Everything's turning to ice, and it's a real mess. So we may as well hit the shop and do something useful. Today's project in the shop I have is it's a small project, but it leads on to another project that leads on to another project. The biggest project is going to be a timber-framed woodshed. We don't have a woodshed right now. I just store my firewood in IBC totes, or like the totes from where you store your water and stuff. But that's not sustainable. And I want to have a place where I can put the firewood in, where it stays dry all year, and it's close access to the house. But in order to do that, I need to get some logs moved and onto the sawmill. But in order to do that, I need a tool that lifts up the logs. In order to do that, I need to make that tool in the shop. And in order to do that, I need to mount a vise to the table. And that's where we're starting today. So I like to plan ahead. You've probably heard of the researchers, Dr. Rush Into It, and his research partner, I'll Do It Later. They don't like the plan, but I do like the plan. There's a bit of thought going into where you want to put your vise in the shop. And so we'll go have a look at that right now. Oh, nice ride. So this is the vise that we're going to mount on the table. This isn't a perfect vise for me. I'm not really keen on these vices that swivel, but we'll make the best of it. I think I found this vise in a dump about 5 years ago, and because I have commitment issues, I've never mounted it anywhere. So the one consideration is that when you swivel this vise, to make sure that you can always turn the handle. Because if you can't and it interferes with the table, obviously you're not going to be able to operate the vise. Another thing to consider is where you mount the vise. You'll see if it's mounted this way, that you won't be able to put anything down and down through. So if we open it up a little bit, just take this for example. If we want to put it down, it's going to hit the table by the time we're clamped up. So that may be a consideration. Just depends what you want to do. It's always nice to have lots of options. So if we turn the vise like this, so you can see here, if we have it this way, right where it is now, once that's clamped up, we're still going to hit that. So we want to move it out a little bit closer to the edge, right to the edge if possible. And then if we want to put something in there, it can pass right down and it's not an issue. So now we're going to take a soapstone, that's for writing on steel, and I've sharpened it up like that just on a little belt sander, and we're going to draw where our holes should be. So we're going to put it into the hole and then rotate it around like that so it sets up the outside of the hole. Both sides that we can see there. Now we can't see that other hole, and I don't want this thing moving when we turn the vise. So I don't know if we can get that on there. Put the vise, this clamp on there just to hold it still. Okay, now I can see that hole just enough. And I can draw that one. There we go. Now I can remove this. And now we can see where our 3 holes are. So this is a full 1-inch plate steel. So I better go get the drill and get ready to drill this. So we need to drill 1/2-inch holes. That's the bolts we got for there that will fit in nice. So I got this here. That should be good enough. It's a little bit off. It should be okay. Always wear your safety glasses. You didn't think I was actually going to drill through 1-inch steel, 1/2-inch hole with this? Not a chance. We got a special tool for this job. enter the mag drill. What a mag drill does is it's like having a drill press that attaches to metal. So this will go on here like that. We'll put a bit in it. We'll plug it in. It's magnetized so it holds to the plate so we can put it wherever we want. We can put pressure on it. It doesn't move. It's virtually effortless other than picking up this case. We have special cutters to drill the holes. It's not a regular drill bit. Here's a 17/32 one. That will work for what we want to do. That's just a 30-second over. And you can see there's a pin in it that helps center it. And it basically bores out the hole. We'll show you how that works. So there's a few little things to get this thing set up initially. This goes on here like that. Push the button. Then we can attach our handles on here like this. Now, if a person didn't have this set up, you can always go rent one. They have these at pretty much any decent rental shop. Failing that, you could use a torch to cut through a table like this. It would be a bit messy. Perhaps, depends how good you are with the torch. You need a pretty steady hand. I have one, but I don't feel like torching it. So when you torch also, then you got to stick around for a while to make sure sparks don't go anywhere. When I worked in industry, we'd have like a hot work permit. And I try to follow those in my own life. Hot work permit involves if you're going to do hot work in a plant or something like that, you always stick around for half an hour, half a day, whatever the requirement is, to make sure that there's no sparks that can light your place up on fire. So it's particularly dangerous when you're working around rubber belts and stuff like that. You get a rubber belt, like a big conveyor belt catching on fire. Very bad news. Anyway, so along with this, we also have a bottle of oil. And that oil will feed through the chuck, and it actually comes out the bottom of the bit. So it's constantly feeding the oil right to where you want it. And you can see on the side here, there's a little nozzle that goes on, little hose barb. Okay, so there's a little valve on there, we'll open up. And once that gets going, it'll allow the oil to go through. Move this over here. So now to put the bit in, you can fit it up there, lift the chuck up. There we go. There it is. So that's all you need to do there. Now this does need to be adjusted a little bit, I think. Perhaps not. There's an adjustment here where you can actually move this up on here, so it just gives you more options. So why don't we start on the hole in the corner over here. Obviously you want to make sure that the cord doesn't get involved in your drilling. So we can kind of see there. We can see that's right over the hole. Now if you wanted, you could take a center punch and punch that, and then the little pin on the bottom of there that you can see is going to line it up perfectly. For the purposes of this, it's pretty close. You know, you can see once I drill in there where it's going to land. So that's, I don't like to use the term, that's good enough. All right, now on the drill, you can see here, that's for the drill motor, and you can't actually start it without turning the magnet on. That's a safety feature, because if you start a drill and the magnet wasn't on, as soon as that catches, your drill's going to go flying and you're probably going to get hurt. So we'll turn that on. Let's just double check or make sure our hole is right where it should be. Right there. So we turn that on. I don't know if you can hear it buzzing, but it's buzzing now. And now it's rock solid. So we'll just back that up a little bit. We're going to open our oil. It's probably fairly, because it's cold. Oh, you can see it coming down there. We'll just give that a second. We want to make sure there's oil there. I have another bottle here. I'll just get that going to get started. Once you start drilling, it actually sucks it out of the bottle. So you're probably not going to be able to hear it once I turn this on. And I'm going to put some headphones on anyway because I don't like listening to the racket. Now you can see I forgot to tighten one thing up here. And that's the one thing I pointed out there. It just provides more options on where you can move the head, so you could have something up high, but you can see I'm kind of limited now how far I can move. But it's going to go right through that table. So I tightened it up with this. I did that specifically just so you would see what you need to do. There we go. So this is the core from inside that annular cutter. That's what the drill bit's called, an annular cutter. You can see all this crap that gets caught up in there. And if you noticed, I turned the magnet off. If you noticed, while I'm drilling down, I push and then I kind of come back up a little bit and I push down a little bit more and then come back up a little bit. What that does is, instead of ending up with a piece like that that's super long spinning around, and if that catches you when it's drilling, whips by, it'll cut you. But what that does, you go down and take it up, it breaks the chip. So you'll do a little bit and then you come up and it cuts it off, and you push it down and it'll start a new one. Something to remember. You can do that. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're using a hand drill or a drill press or a mag drill. So there's one hole done. That didn't take long. That's 1/2 inch of steel. If I was doing that by hand, be lucky if I have it done by next Christmas. Underneath where we are, we have some weldments here that are part of the table. I'm not sure if we're going to hit them, but I'm not worried if we're going to hit them. If it's a weld or whatever, and we just take it easy on the when we're coming down on the drill, it's just going to machine it right out. It's not an issue. So we'll get set up for our next hole here. Drop that down. There we go. That couldn't be easier. Unless you had a laser cutting it and it was automated. So you always want to make sure the table's clean, so your magnet has a nice clean place to attach to. You get one little bit under there and that magnet cut loose, you got some fast acting to do. We'll get this last one lined up here. It looks good. Turn the magnet on. Buzz away. So we're all set. Ear protection on. Lift her up a little bit. Check. Make sure magnet's on. And start her up. How about that? That couldn't be easier. Now, 100 years ago when I used to work as a construction millwright, sometimes we'd have new structures to bolt on to existing structures. And so you might have a new piece of steel here, like a beam with bolt holes in it, and there's no bolt holes in the existing structure. So you could take this, and you can turn it on its side and go up and stick it right on a beam. I've used it upside down before. It makes for a pretty dirty job as that oil gets spraying around. You'll get pretty dirty after a day doing that. And really the only other thing you do at that point is you put a chain on this and you chain it to something higher up. Just in case the magnet does let go or something, someone kicks your cord down below. If electrician's walking around and happens to kick a cord like they don't care. Poor millwright's stuck up there working hard and the electrician's walking around not doing anything. Anyway, you don't want that coming down when it's on. You just can't be ready for it. You'd usually be working off a scissor lift or something like that. So you chain it up there so if it happens to come off, it doesn't fall down, nobody gets hurt. Of course, the electrician's feelings are probably hurt, but who cares? Anyway, so let's get this put away and we'll get the vise on. All right, we got that put away. We're ready to try the vise out. Do the holes line up? It looks like they do. That's always nice. So we got these 1/2-inch bolts, and then I also have nylon lock nuts. So put it on once and it'll never move. Nothing worse than something that's supposed to hold things on for you and then it keeps moving on you. We're going to use an impact to tighten these up. If you're doing it, I would recommend getting an impact socket. I don't have one. But I would recommend, if you don't have one, I don't even know if that's going to be long enough. It's probably not going to be long enough. I don't think I have a 3/4, well, I can put it on top. We'll do it like that. There we go. That is rock solid. We can put things down here. Try tightening that up, see what happens. The main reason I don't like these is because they never seem to tighten up. But you can't beat free. Seems pretty good. We'll see when we get a big piece of steel in there and get some leverage on it, but it should be okay. So that's it. It just goes to show you when you have a really nice tool, when you have the right tools, a job can be done easily and quickly and safely, with the exception of this. So next time we're going to start making a pair of log tongs, a couple pairs of tongs, so we can lift up our big logs onto the sawmill with the tractor. I currently use the forks on the forklift, but it's just not a very good way. Things aren't in control, and the logs roll and it can get away on you, so we want to make sure we have good control. Now in order to make those log tongs, we're going to use the forge back here. We got some heavy flat bar, and that should happen soon. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe and share if you can. Leave a comment below. All these 3 things I just mentioned really help me out and help the YouTube algorithm get the word out about the Homesteader. And I would really appreciate that. So take care, we'll see you soon.